Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a hidden crisis, one that honestly rarely makes the evening news. We're going to be exploring exactly how women who are individually displaced by the drug war in Mexico manage to survive against, well, virtually impossible odds. It's a heavy, deeply complex topic, but by breaking it down together, we're going to shine a light on some absolutely incredible mechanisms of human resilience and hear the true stories of these invisible victims.
To do this right, we're grounding our entire analysis in some really exhaustive academic research. We're looking at a study and raw, first-hand interviews published in the journal Women in Criminal Justice. And what's so powerful about this specific source material is that it bypasses those standard sensationalized headlines. Instead, it gives us a profound look into the actual, lived realities of these women.
So let's start with a crucial question. Who actually are the forgotten victims of the drug war? You know, when we think of cartel violence, our minds usually jump straight to rival factions, police forces, or high-profile figures. We rarely, if ever, picture the silent, solitary women, the mothers, wives, and daughters, who are quite literally hiding in plain sight just to escape extortion and threats. They're the collateral damage that simply doesn't make it onto the official ledgers.
Okay, let's look at this number, because it really sets the scale of the issue. 274,000. According to recent census data, a staggering 274,000 Mexicans have permanently relocated due to violence. And here's the crucial part. 52% of them are women. This isn't some fringe issue, right? This is a massive demographic shift happening entirely under the radar.
There's a stark contrast to point out here. We're totally used to seeing mass displacement on the news, highly visible movements of people caused by war or natural disasters moving in these large coordinated groups. But individual displacement, that's completely unsystematic. It's quiet, it is solitary, and it's entirely designed to avoid the attention of drug cartels. These women have to slip away totally unnoticed, which, as you can imagine, makes studying their survival incredibly challenging.
To understand how they survived this harrowing journey, researchers mapped out 4 concentric circles of support. We'll be looking at individual coping, familial coping, social coping, and finally, institutional coping.
Let's start right at the center, with the first and most immediate circle. Circle 1. Individual coping, or internal survival strategies. By definition, individual coping is the mobilization of internal psychological and material resources to deal with imminent threats. Essentially, when danger arrives right at the front door, this mechanism kicks in. It involves victims relying entirely on their own internal reserves. They're utilizing sheer mental resilience or engaging in highly problem-oriented actions. Things like secretly scraping together savings, plotting a route, and fleeing before it's too late. The raw interviews in this study really bring this to life. Listen to this quote from Alicia. "I took the money that was there and left. I stole it. I don't know where I got the courage. I took a bus and never looked back again." Alicia's devastating story of taking money from her abusive husband to escape perfectly illustrates the solitary, desperate mobilization of individual courage. She literally had to become her own rescuer. For others, like Elizabeth, the internal strength required to break years of abuse and escape isn't just about self-preservation. It's fueled entirely by a fierce love and a primal need to protect their children. Elizabeth realized she had to break the cycle so her kids wouldn't grow up paralyzed by fear. She told researchers, "I made the decision for them, to protect my children. They could not go on living with so much pain and fear." So the really crucial point here is that this first circle of survival isn't just some cold logical calculation. The fuel for flight is deeply emotional. It's anger, it's fear, it's shame, and it's a profound courage that finally overpowers the paralyzing uncertainty of leaving everything behind. These intense emotions are what push these women out the door when staying becomes, well, more dangerous than the unknown.
Expanding outward, we reach Circle 2, familial coping, where blood relatives become a lifeline.
Family trust acts as a vital engine for survival. Relatives step in to provide crucial counseling and emotional support to help control the immediate terror. But they also offer tangible lifelines. We're talking emergency funding, a safe roof to sleep under, and extended networks that really help stabilize the incredibly chaotic first few days of displacement.
Listen to how Laura describes her escape. She said, "I remembered where we were originally from, and that there were some relatives there, so I went there." In the pitch black of her desperate, terrifying escape, Laura instinctually used the mere memory of her extended family as a guiding light to find safety. Family is so often the very first external destination.
But we also have to look at the other side of the coin.
This coping mechanism frequently comes with a tragic cost: family fragmentation. Martha shared that after her brother's murder, her entire family had to scatter across different locations just to survive. She noted, "That's what hurts me the most, to have lost my family. It's heartbreaking, really. The very network that saves them is often shattered in the process."
When family isn't enough, women expand to Circle 3, social coping, which looks at the role of the community and NGOs.
Stepping into the broader community is a massive gamble. On one hand, society can cruelly stigmatize these women. Because of their forced proximity to cartel violence, they're often rejected or unfairly branded as criminals themselves. But on the exact opposite side, the community can be the absolute source of life-saving social support, offering shelter, employment, and essential legal aid.
Informal social support can actually be incredibly powerful. Angelica's experience highlights this beautifully. She was terrified of being recognized by someone from her old town at her new job, but a coworker simply stepped in, covered for her, and offered quiet protection without asking invasive questions. She said, "Fortunately, my coworker understood my fear. She just told me to count on her when necessary." That simple, informal act of solidarity brought a huge sense of relief, allowing Angelica to maintain her hidden identity.
On the formal side, structured social support is literally a matter of life and death. Elizabeth told researchers, "I am alive thanks to a lovely lawyer of the organization. Now he cannot harm me, he knows that I am not alone." Non-governmental organizations can step in to provide the vital legal protection and institutional backing that finally stops the perpetrators from hunting these women down.
This brings us to the final, outermost circle, Circle 4, institutional coping and the state's role.
Here, we have to pause for a second and objectively ask a massive question. Where is the state? I mean, why do these displaced women have to rely so heavily on their own stolen savings, scattered relatives, or local charities, rather than the government institutions that are fundamentally designed to protect citizens?
The research neutrally reports a very stark reality. Institutional avenues in Mexico are frequently unknown to the victims, incredibly difficult to access, and highly scarce. There are virtually no specialized protocols for this kind of quiet, trickle-down displacement. Instead of a safety net, victims face bureaucratic corruption and impunity, meaning these institutions frequently act as an additional barrier rather than a solution.
Elizabeth's exhausting attempts to find sanctuary really prove this point. She tried doing everything right. She went to official channels like the Family Development Agency, human rights offices, and the police. And her takeaway? She said, "I sought help. Nowhere did I receive support. The fault lay with the government." Her story perfectly illustrates how institutional coping is often the most frustrating, fruitless, and ultimately defeating path for these women.
And perhaps the most chilling realization comes from Elena. Her own husband was a police officer, an actual agent of the state, who was disappeared by corrupt systems. She asks, if this happens to the people who take care of us, to the police officers, what can we expect? This absolute systemic despair pushes many women to just give up on local institutions entirely and seek international refugee status instead.
Which leaves us with this final provocative thought. When will these invisible victims finally be seen? As these incredibly brave women continue to quietly navigate these 4 circles of survival, relying on themselves, their fragmented families, and the kindness of strangers, we're left to wonder what it will actually take for society and its institutions to finally recognize, formalize, and protect them. Thank you for joining me for this explainer. I hope it gave you a powerful new perspective on a deeply hidden reality.